I'm going to tell a little story called The Cremation of Sam McGee that was first told by a man called Robert W. Service, who was a poet. He was a Scot. He emigrated to Canada in the latter part of the 19th century, and he told a lot of stories that were inspired by the men that he met who were involved in the great Yukon gold rush of 1898, and this is one such story. It's the Cremation of Sam McGee. The strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold, the Arctic trails of their secret tales, they'd make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was the night on the marge of Lake Labarge that I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold held him hard like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. It was a Christmas day and we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold, to the parka's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd closed, then the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. Wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed and the stars overhead went dancing heel to toe, he turned to me and, "Max, I see, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my one last request." Well, he seemed so low that I couldn't say no, so I swore I would not fail, and we started on at the streak of dawn. But God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse that was all was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried horror-driven with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and your brains, but your promise true, and it's up to you to cremate them last remains." Now, a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, in my heart how I cursed that load. In the long, long night by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, God, how I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavier and heavier grow, and on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in. And I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. She was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice she was called the Alice May. Then I looked at it, and I thought a bit, and I looked down at me frozen chum. Then here said I with a sudden cry, "Is my crematorium." Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just roared and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. And I buried a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled and the huskies howled and the winds began to blow. It was icy cold, but The hot sweat rolled down my cheeks and I don't know why. And the greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the cold I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out and danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I guess he's cooked. And it's time I looked. Then the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam, looking cool and calm, in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile that you could see a mile. And he says, please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you let in the cold of the storm. Why, since I left Plumtree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. Ah, yeah, the strange things done in the midnight sun by the men that moil for gold. The Arctic trails that they've seen, their secret trails, they'd make your blood run cold. And the Northern Lights, they've seen some queer sights. But the queerest they ever did see was the night on the marge of Lake Labarge that I cremated Sam McGee.